Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Your Mark on the World show. Today we're producing the show for yourmarkontheworld.com, and we have some remarkable guests. We have with us Myriam Sidibe, the global head of, oh, Myriam, you're going to have to remind me, but she practically runs Unilever. She is the in charge of some great social initiatives. She's based in Kenya, joins us today from Nairobi. We also have with us the brilliant comic book artist Craig Yoe, the partner at Yoe Studio. Craig and Myriam, thank you very much for joining us.
Yo, it's my great pleasure. Good to see you, Myriam. Oh, my hand, it's dirty. Hang on just a second.
So, Myriam, why don't you remind me of your proper title, since I blew that.
Sorry, I just had to wash my hands. Thanks. Okay, go ahead, Myriam.
All right, thank you, Devin. I am Myriam Sidibe. I'm Global Social Mission Director for Unilever, and I am the guardian of the good of that the brands that we sell actually do. So what I try to do is maximize the social impact of some of the brands that we sell.
Well, and what you're working on right now, or at least we're here to talk about with Craig, is this remarkable new program around teaching young children in the developing world the importance of hand washing and the skill and the way to do it right, how to use and why to use soap. So tell us a little bit about that program, Myriam.
So I think we need to start by setting the problem right, because a lot of people take hand washing for granted, and it isn't just about manners. Every second, 15 kids actually die of diarrhea and pneumonia. That's the equivalent of 20 jumbo planes that are crashing every day full of under 5 years old. And it's going unnoticed. And there are things we can do about this, very simple, preventable acts that we can do. If we could get hand washing with soap at the right occasions, before food and after the toilets, and that we can reduce the pathogens in homes for these children, we could save over 600,000 lives in Africa and Asia. And that's not a small number. So that's the starting point for actually developing this program. But, you know, getting people to wash their hands is not that simple. It's all about actually raising norms, ensuring that everyone else around them do it. And the most vulnerables are obviously the children. And they are the ones that also we can impact in terms of getting them to change their habits. So doing schools program for us is extremely important, because it gets us to model an entire new generations of future hand washers. So this is why we got together with Craig at Yoe Studio and said, look, we need the best of what's out there and stop the very old-fashioned public health education and do hand washing in a fun way, so that the routine of hand washing with soap is actually done in a way that gets kids wanting to do it. And that obviously the habit of hand washing with soap is that. So that was the starting point of creating the program.
That's great. Now, Craig, tell us a little bit about what you created for this program.
Well, probably the centerpiece of the program is a comic book. I learned to read from comic books, and they're colorful, they're inexpensive to print, and they're engaging, and they can be passed along easily to friends and neighbors and family members and around classrooms. So, you know, we thought that was the perfect medium to reach the masses. We actually kicked around a couple other ideas that just didn't seem to be so easy to undertake. And comic books, you can just roll them off the presses and kids grab them out. Myriam has sent me photos of kids, you know, actually crying because they're so happy to get these comic books in classrooms that are maybe the usual material is rather dull to look at, or kind of education by rote, and here's something where there's superhero characters flying through the air, and they're all about being clean and having fun and fighting a nasty villain called No Good, and so kids get really excited about these comics. And so that's the centerpiece, but we have songs that we've created and games, and like Myriam says, we can hardly call it education. It's fun, but the message gets through loud and clear because it's fun and engaging. So we're just really excited about the whole program.
Myriam, it seems that educating kids is important, but insufficient. That their parents are so much a part of their behavior at home where you're really trying to reach. Are you finding that the comic books are helpful in communicating this message to the parents as well?
So absolutely. The way the program was designed is that not only does it have comic books, and that the kids can actually take it back to home and they can read the story with their parents, but also it integrates, for example, tools like a diary. So we get kids to actually practice the behavior for about 21 days, and their moms have to sign every week, and they get a reward if they've actually practiced during that time. So it keeps the link between the home and the school going, which I think is really important to embed the behavior, because you cannot disconnect the child from the home. So I think that's a very important starting point. And the comic book is something that obviously it becomes, the child is really proud to be able to read the comic book to his younger sibling. And this is something tangible that he might have never had a chance to read or see before, any kind of materials this way. And this is why we've managed to actually, this is where the success of the program has actually come from. We've had over 20 million copies printed. We've now implemented this program in over 23 countries and translated it in 19 languages. And in each of these countries that I'm telling you, the characters have different local names, but the superpowers stay the same. The nuts and bolts of what actually gets kids to wash their hands stays the same, because that's very universal. It's all about fun, it's all about superpowers, it's all about reminding you of the right occasions, but in a way that you want to be reminded, not only policed by your parents.
Craig, tell us a little bit about the characters and their superpowers.
Well, Myriam said they get something tangible. They actually get this comic book, Devin, and it has these superheroes called the School of Five, and the leader is this beautiful young lady, and she's kind of purposely a strong woman to reflect the strong women that are in the homes that have much of the responsibility to get the kids in the habit of washing their hands 5 times a day. And so then there's also 3 triplets. I modeled them after Huey, Dewey, and Louie from Donald Duck, but this is Biff, Bam, and Pow. And Biff, Bam, and Pow, they sometimes get in trouble, but Sparkle, the maternal type leader, gets them back on track. And then for comedy relief, I used to be the creative director of the Muppets, so I learned about big, warm, fuzzy characters. So we put Harry back in there, a character that the kids would love, just like they love Big Bird or Snuffleupagus. And he's kind of the professor of the School of Five, and he does get a little more educational, because he's so huggable that kids eat his message up. And so that's the School of Five, and they fight this villain down here in the corner. You'll see that he's an ugly, germy-looking kind of guy, and his name is No Good. And he says here, I do not like clean and I do not like fun. So he's the opposite of what we're proposing here, and the kids boo him and cheer the School of Five on.
Oh, that's great. So what are the actual superpowers that these characters have?
Well, everybody but Harryback can fly, and Sparkle, when she flies through the air, there's a sparkly trail that goes behind her. You can see her sparkly trail there, and her superpowers her biggest superpower is probably wisdom and just and strength. She has great strength and physical strength. So, but Biff, Bam, and Pow, when they lock arms and shout, then all these bubbles appear made from soap and everything, and they can kind of drown out No Good's plans and clean up the act and clean up the environment and clean up the kids' hands. And Harryback, he again is a pretty strong guy, but bubbles just don't float around him. He can blow giant bubbles to trap No Good in. So
Fantastic.
Off to jail. So that's their powers. But they have the power to spread cleanliness and fun and health, and that's their greatest power.
That's great. Now, Myriam, why is it important for children to wash their hands with soap?
Because I think soap is what you actually get, and that ensures that the pathogens on your hands are actually removed. So water alone is not enough. And that's one of the key messages that we pass to the kids as well, and to the parents as well, because most people will actually look at their hands and they will actually think that their hands look clean. Because if you look at your naked eye, you always think that your hands look clean. But unfortunately, there are things that you cannot see that we try to make visible so that people actually get a sense through the glow germ. For example, we have a glow germ that we use in the comics and as well in reality as part of the comics and the schools program, where we actually show them that under UV lights there are germs that you cannot see, therefore that can only be removed with soap. So it is important to use both water and soap to be able to remove some of these pathogens. So it's extremely important to have soap. That's the starting point. It's soap plus water gives you really happy hands and happy kids.
Well, it seems like this is a universal message. And as important as it is for children in the developing world, it really seems that maybe no one should be exempt from this message. What do you think, Myriam?
No, I completely agree. So I think the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine did a study in the motorway in the UK, looking at people actually coming out of the toilet. And I think, if I remember properly, there was about less than 30% of people actually washing their hands on their way coming out of the toilet. So I don't think this is something that is, I'm sure that we will find something very similar in the US, not to make you feel completely better about this. But if you remember the whole swine flu, one of the key moments that Obama stepped in was actually saying, you know, you please wash your hands with soap. Keep washing your hands with soap. So I think it is a habit that needs to be emphasized. But the difference is, in a country, in a rural area in India, it could be a difference between life and death. And I think this is why you need to be even more careful. We can have a basic diarrhea. We have a pediatrician next door, so it's less of an issue. If you are a child in the first 18 months of your life, and you can't retain the nutrients because you keep getting repetitive diarrhea, it will take very little for you to actually die, because the next pneumonia that you will get will actually you might actually pass away. So I think that's the key, is ensuring that the homes and the pathogens around the homes are diminished as much as possible, and the hands are the biggest vectors of those.
Sure. Well, Craig, how does this project fit into your overall career and what Yoe Studio is about?
Well, I've been blessed. I've led a fun career. I mean, I worked for Jim Henson at the Muppets and Disney and Nickelodeon, but and all kinds of exciting projects, especially for kids. But I always tell my friends and associates that this is the feel-good project of a lifetime. I get up every morning excited that we're working on the School of Five and working with Myriam, and because we're actually saving lives. I mean, before I was pushing hamburgers maybe, or non-biodegradable plastic landfill, which some people know as toys. But now I'm helping Myriam and her crew actually save the lives of little kids. And the comic book itself, I'm a comic book historian, and I know this is the largest circulated comic book in history. Previously, in the 1940s, there was a Superman comic they gave to American GIs that had 8 million. We're at 20 million copies and still printing them up as Myriam adds countries onto the list of countries that are being helped. And so Cleets and I just we love this project. We're so proud to be working on it, and it's super, if I could use that expression.
Sure. Well, Myriam, tell us how people can engage with you at Unilever to help. How would you like people to connect with you?
So we've created a campaign that's called Help a Child Reach 5, and you can find it online. One of our latest films that has just been launched over the last 3 weeks has already had over, I think, 12 million views. So people can actually share the video and bring the cause of hand washing with soap at the forefront of everybody's mind. Because it's not, raising norms happens with everyone. And the more people know how important it is to talk about hand washing with soap, the more important it becomes for us to share the message. So I think the more you share, the more we will donate, and the more we will reach out and have more kids get the hand washing message, and the more program we will run. So I think the best thing that you could do for us is to actually share the video to more people and make sure that the message of helping a child reach 5 is passed on.
Fantastic. It is a touching movie. I do encourage people to go to your website and watch that. So is that, what's the URL where they'll find that video?
It's Help a Child Reach 5.
Okay. Well, thank you both. Craig and Myriam, thank you both for taking the time to be with us today. I congratulate you on the good work you're doing.
Thank you so much. And if I could leave you with these words, Devin, the motto of the School of Five, don't be a dope, always use soap.
Great message. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
All righty,
Thank you.
let's do some good.